Hello folks, welcome back to the doghouse. Today we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. This is going to be stuff for dioramas, for my train board, something that you can make at home for, well, practically nothing. And this is not the static grass that stands up. That would be really cool. But this is this is something you can use as a basing material. You can also use it on hedges and trees and whatnot. So it's kind of a flocking. A lot of people call it flocking. So stick with us, and I'm going to show you how I do this. Cheap and easy. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is some sawdust. And if you watch some of my other videos, you know that I can get sawdust, well, for nothing. Pretty much I will go to places that have wood shops. Some of the high schools still have them. There's other companies that, man, they got all kinds of sawdust. They're just happy to get rid of it. But if you have to buy sawdust, well, you know, buy some nice powdery sawdust. Now,
most local high schools and even some junior highs still have wood shops. And quite often they're more than willing to get rid of their sawdust because they have to pay to have it hauled away. Fortunately, where I work, we have a mill, and so I was able to just go and sweep some up. They were very happy that I actually helped clean up a little bit and get the sawdust that I needed. And here's what I got, kind of a powdery sawdust. I don't want that wood shaving kind of stuff like you have for hamsters and other animals. I really want the finer, the better that I can get. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this old screen that I have off of a window. You can use a sieve, you know, whatever screen you want to use. And this is going to be my first sifting. And what I'll do is I'll take a handful of this stuff and I'll just put it on my screen. I've got an old box lid from another model kit underneath it. And I'll just take it by hand or brush, whatever you want to use, and just kind of move it around. And you can see the thicker stuff that I've got here on top. And I'm going to pour that into a different container so that I've got that thicker, coarser stuff. And the finer stuff falls down through. Now this is only the first sifting that I'm going to do before I start making the grass. But you can see that it's turned into kind of a nice, fine, powdery stuff, and that's what I want. Ooh, there's the train whistle. Time to move on.
So this is my first sift. I can sift it with a finer screen and get an even finer sawdust, a finer material. And actually, I will do that after I make what I'm going to make today. So what we're going to need is some kind of a bowl. And I do have a nice bowl, but I also have this, an old empty coffee cup, because, well, I drink a lot of coffee out here. So I got an empty coffee cup. So I'm going to take this. And this is not an exact science. I actually learned something about this when I was a custodian many years ago. Many years ago. We used to take banana oil and we would put it in a container, and then we would put sawdust in and mix it up, and we would sweep our floors, and it got the dust off of our floors a lot easier. So I knew that you could mix things with sawdust without it going all clumpy and nasty. And I got thinking, oh, well, maybe that'll work for like flocking or grass. So what we're going to do for this batch that I need kind of a lighter green color. I've made some others, but see this container here? Well, this is a 1 pound, 24 ounce thing. And all I'm going to do is I am going to put some of this green. This is just acrylic paint. You can use a cheap acrylic paint. That's great. I'm actually using a house paint because, well, I get these latex house paints for nothing. They're being thrown away. They're colors that are old and outdated, and next to, you know, like half of a container. Anyway, real cheap for me. You can go to a paint supply store, and usually they'll have mismatched that they are selling for real cheap. So again, you can pick up latex paint real cheap. So just to give you some idea, that's about how much I've got in there, just kind of enough to cover the bottom. And now I'm going to get some water, and I can, well, I could measure it out and do maybe about 1/4 cup, but I'm just going to do the I'm going to pour it in method. And you know, you can see about how much water I got there. Not a whole terrible lot. And I'm going to mix that up. Got a little stir stick here. Just going to kind of mix it up to get kind of a liquidy, runny paint mixture. And then I think we'll be ready for the sawdust. And because I want kind of a yellowish green or a lighter green, I'm going to take this yellow and I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to drop a couple of drops in, a little goop in, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to mix it up. Here's what I start with. And we're going to mix that in. And we're going to add some more. So I already have kind of a nice yellowy turf that I've mixed up, and I've got a nice bright green, beautiful bright green that I've mixed up. It'd be great for a golf course. I've got a little bit darker green, which is great for flocking hedges and trees. But like I say, I want kind of a lighter yellowy green. Just a tad more. This is something you got to do to taste. It's one of those, you know, it's like cooking, you know, like being a chef. You got to do it to your taste, to what it is you're after. The exact color that floats your boat, I guess, is how you could do it. You can measure it out if you want, so you can replicate it some other time. I'd kind of recommend that. Okay, so here is my lighter green. And we're going to take our sawdust and we are going to start dumping some in. Now, if you ask me how much I'm putting in, I don't know. Probably there's about a cup right there. Let's guess about a cup and a half of sawdust to start. So, you can see I've covered all my paint, all my water. So, oh no, it's all powdery. What am I going to do? Golly gee, I got too much. No, it'll be fine. And now I just stir it. I just stir it. Sorry. Whenever I stir something, I have to make that noise. You know, it's like in that Mel Brooks movie, you know, Young Frankenstein, where they say Frau Blucher. You know, you get the horses. Well, whenever I stir, whenever I say I'm going to stir. So I'm going to mix and mix and mix and mix and mix and mix and mix. And that's really the key to this, is you have to mix it thoroughly. You have to scrape the bottom, you have to scrape the sides. And you mix 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 and you mix. Now, you know you've got too much water and too much paint in it if, when you reach in and grab some, it clumps up. You see, that didn't clump up. That's nice and powdery. I might have got this right the first time. So if you feel that it's too dry, you can always add more water. If you feel that it is too wet, which is usually the case, then you just add some more sawdust until you feel happy with where it's at. So remember, I'm going for kind of a light green look to this turf. So if it does have some of the you know, natural sawdust mixed in, it's probably going to be okay, because remember, this is turf, and well, if you look at turf, it's not really one color. Grass really isn't one color. So I have mixed and I've mixed and I've mixed and I've mixed and I've mixed until I'm tired, and you're probably tired of watching me. So here we go. Yep, that looks good, and it's damp. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's not wet. Obviously, it's not wet. And there you go. There's our flocking. Real easy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this out on a pan, or wax paper, whatever you want, and I'm going to let it dry overnight. And once it's thoroughly dry, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in containers, and I'll be ready to go. Pretty quick and easy, huh? and very inexpensive. The cost of the paint, whatever the cost of the paint is for you, and the cost of the sawdust, whatever that is for you. So my grand total is $0.00 for what I've made here. And you can see that's quite a bit. That's half of this container easily, and that's going to last me a very long time.
And here it is, laid out to dry, about 24 hours, and this stuff will be nice and powdery and just perfect to use. And you can see here, I've got a darker green that I've made, and I'm putting it over a screen and getting a much finer powder. So this is how I make the real fine turf. And here we are with a dark color. Here, this is kind of a summery mix I've put together with some of the lighter colors. And then a nice darker green, kind of a burnt colored grass. And that nice pretty bright green. And then my light green. And then here is a combination of all of them put together, which makes a really nice blend. So there you go. I hope you've learned something that'll help you out of this video.